Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the DHHSC Board Meeting. Today is December 14th, 2021, and it is now 6:08 p.m. That will be our recorded time that this meeting is started. We have Jamie with us, Jamie Johnson-Day. We also have Nicole Hurt. Myself, Steve Longo, is here. Jessica was not able to make it tonight. I can hope she'll show up, but she was aware of the date. We do have 3 out of the 4 board members present, so we do have a quorum. And we will proceed with what we did last time, with the exception of following some more specific guidelines in terms of the use of Zoom and how we are communicating. We'll go over a few basic rules. We want to have considerations for what clothing we select, the background that we choose, and also limiting the number of distractions and any lighting that might cause the video to respond, anything that might be distracting for those who are watching. So please keep that in mind. For those who are here, Zoom is not the perfect platform, but it is a good enough one and one we can make easier. Second rule would be to make sure that we pause when somebody would like to make a comment. Once that person is identified, they will be spotlighted in Zoom, and then the person will introduce themselves, spell their name, give their name sign, whatever their preference is, make their comment or ask their question, and then let Alex know that they are done with what they have to share. And I think it'll just be easier for everyone to be able to follow, especially for the interpreters. We want to make sure that we are not going too long without a break. If we feel like we need a break, let's say in an hour, please just raise your hand and say so. We can take a 10-minute break and resume if we need to. And if there are further questions, just make sure you raise your hand. And then if everyone is in agreement with those guidelines, we can proceed. And we have the go ahead. So we will start the meeting. Again, it's December 14th. We do have an agenda. I believe we're supposed to show it, but I'm not a co-host, so I can't share my screen. Give us just a moment. Okay, we don't have to show it. It will make the visibility more challenging. So I will read off the agenda items. The board, you have all seen the agenda, correct? Are there any additions, any corrections, or is it approved as read? Just confirming, board members, that it's good. We will approve it as read, seeing that there are no objections. The September board meeting minutes. The interim secretary is still learning, and so working through that. And the interim secretary is doing very well, making great strides. Do we approve the board meeting minutes from September as read? Anyone object? Seeing no objections, they are approved as read. And now for the president's report. I'm not going to post my report in this Zoom meeting, but I will post it in its entirety if everyone's okay with that at the conclusion of this meeting. And I'll just go over the highlights from it. Give me just a moment. moving my screens around just a moment. There are quite a few things to talk about. I have 8 items on my report. First, I wanted to let you know that a lot has happened since September. Many things have arisen. As an example, we really felt like the board needed to do some work and that the foundation of the board was weak and needed to be built strong, and we were all in agreement with that. We want to make sure we were in agreement before we started advertising for additional board members, because what they see may not be a very clear picture. We want to have that picture and that foundation nice and strong so that folks have a nice, strong board to take part in. I also want to say thank you very much for participating in September in the community events. As a board, I don't know if you remember last time we talked about having an email address of board@dhhsc.org. But I don't know that we got a response and therefore don't have access to that. So hopefully that'll be resolved very soon. The website also needs updating in terms of photos of the board members. Some board members don't have a corresponding photo or profile. We need to get that updated as well. We also need the bylaws to be downloadable and readable, board policies, several different documents, including the minutes, so that folks can access that at any time. It's just ensuring that we are being transparent with our community. Third phase of the bylaws is in process. And Jesse, as part of the staff, is seeing some errors in the bylaws and has suggested some changes. And they were very well taken points, and we will make those corrections. The bylaws now are much better than they were before, much more cleaned up, easier to read now than they were in the past. And I think we are pretty close to being done. And they will become official here very soon. So phase 3 should be done in not too distant future. And I think we're in a good spot for now. There might need to be some legalese added for protection as things come up. I'm sure things will come, so we will address those at that time. We have new policies that we didn't have before. One example of some additions is the Zoom guidelines we covered earlier. Also, the executive director role and interview and that process and our relationship with the board, those were more clearly outlined. And the bylaws focus on that structure of the incorporated status. We want to make sure that we keep the format uniform. From time to time, things will need to be adjusted. And so we can do that in the policies and procedures, less so in the bylaws. The board commitment, for example, the bylaws is not the right place to put where the board would use their funds, whereas the board policy and procedure would be, because that can be adjusted as needed. Whereas in the bylaws, those need to be static and unchanging. Board applications. I would agree with Nicole's comment that those applications need to be reworked, and so we will work on that a little bit later. There was talk about a welcome package for board members, and there really isn't one. And if you look at the bylaws, it should be more specific about what exactly is happening, how to follow Robert's Rule of Order, parliamentary procedures. And so I feel that needs to be part of a welcome package for new members so they do feel welcome and they know what the expectations are and they have a clear understanding of where to go once they've joined. And they can also feel very much a part of the board. And I think it'll help with the relationship with DHHSC as well. Recruiting board members is a must, an absolute must. We're down to 4 of us now. The minimum is 4, so we definitely need to have a larger number. I would feel more comfortable having board members to be at 7 or up to 9. I think we'd be lucky to have 7 board members, but 4 is definitely on the smaller end. Fundraising hasn't been happening with Zoom and COVID, etc. I know Michelle and DHHSC have been working diligently on fundraising. I believe Giving Tuesday was 2 weeks ago, was it not? Okay, well, I will let you cover that, Michelle, in your report. And just to say that DHHSC raised $8,000 and did a fantastic job, even given the pandemic that we are in. The board has a commitment to donate as well. Board elections, there are 2 current open positions. In September, I was voted in to replace Trisha. And her position was due in December. So there needs to be another vote again for a full term. Nicole's position she was temporarily in there through 2022. Is that correct, Nicole? I believe it was through 2022.
It was just voted in last month, so I believe it's a 2-year term according to the last meeting. So I believe that's right till 2023.
Right. We want to just make sure we confirm that our terms are clearly defined. Michelle alerted us that it was coming up on time to renew or vote. And so we want to make sure we have that on our list. Serena's term ended in August. And because she had filled 2 terms, she could not serve a third. We thank her very much. And then that also opened up the secretary position. So as we have new members join, hopefully we can fill that position. We hope to be able to get together again face to face, but it seems there's another turn in this whole pandemic. So that is not happening at this point, and we are still in Zoom. We will research better ways to hold meetings online. Zoom may not be the most ideal platform. So if you have other ideas or other ways to make this a better system, please let us know that later. And are there any questions? That concludes my report, unless there are questions. Seeing none, thank you very much. I will now turn it over to the Vice President, Nicole, and let her go over her report.
I was just checking to see if the interpreters were going to be switching. So this is Nicole. I am the Vice President, and I will share my report now. I have been working hard on making the necessary additions, edits, and I heard the community's concerns in terms of the website having more pictures, having more people's names on the website. So I did look into that, and please be patient with us. We are working hard to make those necessary edits and to get those things posted on the website. After everything has been revised, we will be focusing everything we're working on now. After that, we will then start working on the website. So we need to make sure to prioritize what we are working on as a board, and we feel that it's very important that we are currently working on all of the other documents that Steve was mentioning so that we can have a better foundation as a board. But yes, we are and have been working very hard to make sure that we are able to take care of the things we need to take care of. So now to my formal report. All right, like Steve just mentioned, we have been working hard to get everything done, and we are currently in the third phase of rewriting the bylaws. It has been going well. I'm making the necessary revisions and edits. It's been going well so far. We haven't had to make anything too major, but we will be ready to show those to you soon. We need to give them to council first, and after that, we will bring them here to be adopted. But we are very excited for the progress we've made with that. Also, a while ago, I am still aware that we wanted to make sure that you knew that you were heard and we understand your point of view. There is a very small board right now. Like Steve mentioned, there's only 4 of us, and we are doing as much work as we can, but we are making a lot of progress in the last couple months. We are working hard, and we are working on other things that I've mentioned right now, making sure to work together as a team to make sure that everything goes smoothly. Also, in terms of the bylaws, we want to make sure that they are done well because they are the foundation of the board. And for future board members as well, when Jamie, myself, and Steve are no longer here, these will be used in perpetuity for the future board. So we want to make sure that everyone's in the same understanding of the duties, roles, responsibilities, and all of that of the board members. So we want to make sure that everything's updated. It is not congruent to what is actually happening right now. And so we want to make sure that they are more up to date. Like Steve had also mentioned, we are working on board policies and procedures. And also we're wanting to add some new things because we do have Zoom meetings. What I learned actually from the Helen Keller National Center, it's also known as HKNC, in terms of making sure that everything is accessible for deaf-blind users, they do have guidelines that I want to make sure that is for our community. And again, it's not just for deaf-blind users, but it's really to benefit everybody, who all the participants, attendees, viewers, and the interpreters for sure, just to make sure that everything goes smoothly. So we are working on the bylaws. Sorry, I had a little hard time spelling that. We are working on the bylaws. Once that is done, we will start working on other things. The third thing, we are trying to recruit more board members, and we want to be able to add valuable people so that DHHSC can continue to thrive and continue to be strong. We need people who are really proficient and passionate and willing to put in the work to make sure that DHHSC can continue to flourish. We need people who are willing to invest the time and energy into this work that we're doing. So please make sure to get the word out there. If you know of anyone who's interested, please send them our way. We also need people who are able to meet specific areas. Like we have positions that are open, in particular, treasurer and secretary. So if anybody has those types of experiences or are, inept in or good at clerical work or something like that. I guess you don't have to necessarily have it be your niche per se, but if anybody who is interested in joining and doing these specific roles, that would be great. Like Steve mentioned too, right? His position is interim, and so we need to make sure that we have the checks and balances of all of our financial means and that we have everything in order, because I know it's not something that just anyone can do. And hopefully soon we will be able to make sure that each of us with enough people would have specific duties on our plate instead of filling multiple roles at the same time. And again, it's very much a work in progress. And the last thing, for the last couple months, we have been working hard to make sure that we are kept up to date, and we have been meeting via email, via VP and all of that, and been putting in the time and effort. So we want to just thank everyone for their investment. We want to thank Michelle too for communicating with us and having that open door. Each board member here really does put in the time and energy to make sure that everything that we do is done well and that it's all up to date. And to have a good result means that we need to make sure that we have that support, particularly with grants, right? We are able to see that the time and energy that we put in to this work, no matter the organization, for the organization and the different programs that we have, that these board members really are committed and they're here to support everything that is done with this agency to be able to get more grants. And I really appreciate everyone for everything you've done. Thank you so much. And I see great work from all of you. That is my report. Thank you so much. And that was my first official report. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you.
This is Steve. I'll take it at this point. Thank you, Nicole, for your report and your first official one. We appreciate it. Nice work. I just want to echo what Nicole said. We really want to think about that concept of being a reflection, and we're very much thinking along the same lines. Very often I was thinking, oh, I should say this, and then she said it. So clearly we are of the same mind right now. I do think it's important that what we do now is really setting the tone for change and for growth. We want to be stronger. We want to have a strong foundation. We don't want to go through again what we are going through right now. And so it would be nice for Michelle to breathe a sigh of relief that she has a strong board and feel assured in that. And we, like other organizations, are definitely in need of that. So, Nicole, is there anything to report for the secretary's position?
Not much. Just wanted to say that we are working on e-signatures and getting all of that in order. There is a form that board members have come to a consensus on, and we will get that out very shortly once all the kinks are worked out. But yeah, that's it for secretary report. And we are looking for someone to fill the shoes in the secretary role as well.
This is Steve Longo. Yes, thank you. Hang on 1 second for the interpreters. All right. We will proceed. Thank you, Nicole, for the secretary's report. Another first for her, the secretary's report. And I, again, echo and agree with what she said. Now, Michelle, did your financial person send you the information for the treasurer's report? And did I miss it? Okay, I will give it to you, Michelle.
Yes, this is Michelle. I did forward it to you before the meeting. I don't know if you haven't had a chance to look at it, but I did just forward you the document before the meeting.
Okay. I will keep it brief, but give me just a moment to open it up. Okay, I think I found it. Just a moment. Okay, I have it. So forgive me as I am looking away from the Zoom meeting, I'm looking at another screen. Total sits at, just a moment, $947.00. Our fiscal year just started in July, so we're halfway through. Still considered a new cycle, and we will work to get that down to 0 by the end of June. Our formal financial person, Paul Barnett, passed away, and he was always really good at making sure we never sent any money back to the state, and we were always quite impressed with his skill at that. So we are still grieving his passing, and we miss him. We miss his presence, and definitely feel that not easy after the number of years he served our community. We do appreciate very much his service, and I do believe an award was given. Is that correct? Recently?
Michelle is saying we will.
Okay. You'll see a picture there on the DHHSC website, I believe, in memoriam and recognition of Paul Barnett and his service. So that is our current and total balance. There isn't much to share just yet. There haven't been too many changes since the last one. We still have the invoices that we had before. We're still paying what we owe and seeking out those who owe us. But looking at the overall statement, we're in a good place. And that is it for the treasurer's report, unless there are any questions. Seeing none, we will move to the next agenda item. Hang on just a moment. Clicked on the wrong thing. All right. We will now move on to the Executive Director's Report. Michelle, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. This is Michelle signing here. Thank you for giving me the screen instead of giving me the floor. I will say I will take the screen. Okay.
Fair enough.
So first of all, I want to thank the board for working so diligently on the bylaws for the past month. I have seen your emails and all of your correspondences. I've received your emails, received your texts, and I know and I see that you guys have been working very hard on that. So thank you. Also, for paying your dues. When Monterey Peninsula Foundation contacted us and said that the board hasn't been paying 100% of their dues and the grant could not be approved. So I immediately reached out to you and asked you all to please make sure to give 100% of your dues. You did so very quickly, and thank you for that. And because of that, we were approved for the grant and received the grant from the Monterey Bay Peninsula. So thank you so much for that, and it really makes a difference. And when you have a good relationship with them, at the same time, we're able to show that we here at DHHSC, the staff and the board, are committed to service. And your board dues do show that commitment. Our staff is having to meet specific goals. And so we need to make sure that those two go hand in hand. We have a program that's called the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Wellness Program. It's a DWELL. And it focuses on health and safety workshops, which means that we in the Salinas staff does provide workshops via Zoom and also in person on a one-on-one basis as needed. We have been approved to start those as of November, and we'll be using that grant accordingly. I actually just found out that we received it. And so the grant technically already began in November, but we just found out we were awarded the grant. So we are working hard to catch up. Thank you so much for all of your support. Also, Giving Tuesday, we were so excited. The goal was 5,000, and we decided to make it fun. Most people hate asking for money and don't know how to do that well. And so there are 24 staff members. So what we did was divvy up into 6 different teams. So 6 teams of 4, and each team came up with a team name. And they listed their team name and their members. And so they competed, and whichever team raised the most money was recognized with a congratulations, and whoever won. Okay, so let me back up. So the management team decided to recognize the staff, not the management, right? So we picked staff who had raised the most money, and it was mama bears were the ones who won, and they were very excited. I noticed too, they did make it competitive, and making it competitive also made it easier in asking for the funds when you're reaching out to family and friends or students and other colleagues by sending a letter and explaining the purpose of fundraising. And a lot of people did give on Giving Tuesday. We were shocked. We raised over $8,000. And so we've decided next year the goal is going to be 10,000. And staff really want to try for that 10,000. We want to challenge all of you and the board also to come up with your own team next year to compete with us. And the reason being, thank you for your eagerness. We still want to make sure that we have money to support DHHSC. No matter what team, whoever the staff member or board member is on, we are still all focusing on the same cause, and that is DHHSC. So this year we are focusing on fundraising for events. Next year, it'll be a different cause. So I want to just say thank you to everybody who did make donations. It really makes a big difference. So thank you, everyone. Now we are applying for a new grant for United Way. To Larry County, and that is where is on part of tonight's agenda. We need to make sure that we're able to get through that for this grant. We need to make sure that we're able to get this information, and that's one thing. So it's twofold. We need to have support groups for hearing parents of deaf and hard of hearing children for Kings and Tulare County. And then also we want to provide financial workshops for the deaf and hard of hearing community. There are a lot who struggle financially with especially the cost of living increasing, the cost of food, gas, all other expenditures have been increasing. So learning how to rebudget for that. We do also have workshops for the community, and we also have workshops then again for these hearing parents of deaf children. So those are the two goals of the grant. Also, for staff updates, like Steve mentioned with Paul's passing, if you remember, he did pass December 25th. So it was Christmas Day of 2020. So we're coming up on 1 year, and we have been struggling to fill the position since. We had one person who didn't really work out, and we are still thinking, right, we have been advertising this position, but we also just learned from our HR partner, Sierra HR Partners. They said that accounting is one of the top 10 most difficult positions to fill. So that's what we're up against. I just talked to them today, and we will be able to contract with them to help with our search. We do need help with our search. We desperately need help. They said that they are ready to.
Our subcontractor is ready.
Our
for somebody else to take over.
subcontractor is ready to stop taking as much of our work or as much of the load from DHHSC. So we do need somebody to fill, and nothing compares to the work that Paul was able to do with us for the past 30 years. Also, Gary has been working with our agency as an auditor. And so it's also that time of the year. We are late, but we are starting. And again, he has been working to make sure everything else is up to date here as well. And we are not even his only client. So he definitely has a lot on his plate. For events, next Wednesday, we are having our holiday car drive-through. It is going to be 12 till 2. We will be passing out food for anyone who comes until food is out. But we also will have stuffed animals for any of the children who come. And so even if the food is out, please still come, and hopefully we will have stuffed animals available still. We do have a deaf Santa and his elf outside that will be greeting everyone that is driving by. You can stop for quick pictures, but people must stay in their cars. We did receive sponsors and donations from last year that we had held until this year. So we had Sorensen as one of our sponsors. We also had Bonds from last year. And then this year, Medea's Pizza also donated pizza for the children. So we want to thank, me and Ed, so thank you so much for that. And Trader Joe's also was able to make a donation. Glad I didn't forget to mention them. They just approved that on Monday. So we will go ahead with that event. Last year, we canceled that even after we started planning because of COVID. And so we will be having it this year, but also the governor just announced the new mask mandate going into effect tomorrow for those vaccinated and unvaccinated. So we will be all masked. We want to make sure that we can still serve the community. We miss seeing everyone, and we want to be able to take this chance and opportunity to thank everyone for their support.
February 5th.
February 5th, we have the literacy event, and we will be partnering with teachers itinerant teachers, case managers, all of that. Parents who want to work with deaf and hard of hearing children, they are welcome to come. We will have workshops and activities. We also will be teaching parents how to read and sign to their children. So we want to make sure that we're focusing on the love of reading through sign language. Hope Lutheran across the street catty corner from us has a very large room that we will be able to use. A few other brief updates. I want to say thank you to Fresno State students for hosting a wonderful Halloween event in October. They did a very small fundraiser for us and they did a great job. There was a great turnout and it was a lot of fun. So I want to be able to show that appreciation to them. Also, the one student named Stephanie Murphy, she hosted a yoga fundraiser for us. And we had that in person at a park and it was a lot of fun. That was also a fundraiser and we raised $600 from different donations. Whether people showed up or not, they still donated. So we have a huge thank you to her. I don't remember her name sign. Oh, here we go. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Rosemary, too, for setting that up. And because of that success, we are able to host those twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall. She's asked if she could, and I started learning yoga. At first, I wasn't sure about it. And then she said, come try. So I was like, yeah, we'll see. But I enjoyed it. I'm not very flexible, but I think I will get there. CFC Combined Federal Campaign. Because everything has been virtual, they did all of that virtual as well. We were on Zoom and we gave our presentations. We were all chosen at a random time and all of us had to sign up and hopes that someone would pick. And so 4 people picked us. And again, this is a nationwide based on where you are located. And so we've had 2 so far, but I want to just make sure I had shared about DHHSC and also letting them know where the monies would go and knowing that there is no limit in terms of what their gift can do. Also, a lot of the times, grants, we can only spend the money specific ways and specific means, but they don't limit us on these funds. So we're able to spend them on food and other things we can't with grants. Also, we want to make sure that we have a variety of trainings of different topics for the staff, different presenters, to make sure that staff can learn and are exposed to different things and can learn new skills. We recently had a deaf Buddhist monk. A deaf Buddhist monk came and taught about being mindful while working. So I thought that was interesting. We learned a lot. It was a different approach for us. We also had bystander effects of for domestic violence. So we had deaf community council come and give a presentation. We also have to follow our HIPAA and fraud, waste, abuse trainings every year. Everyone loves it. It's so much fun. And we learned that about SWORT, SMART, specific, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So it's SMART goals. Really helps us to develop the goals in which we want to work towards. It really helps us also to plan better and to be better employees, because clients deserve the best from us. And so we always want to make sure that we can get something different and not just the same boring HIPAA trainings that we have to do every year, but also to include something fun in there. Oh, well, one more thing. In October, you may know that we had his memorial service, Paul's memorial service, and it was a beautiful event. Thank you, everybody who was able to come, and also Rosemary, thank you for recording the signing, the song. It was very touching. We had his family in attendance, and really what touched me the most, well, everybody loves Paul, right? And his two brothers love him just the same. And after the service, they both came up to me and said that they were so happy to know that Paul worked with such wonderful people like himself. And it really just meant a lot to hear that from them, and knowing that they feel that we had done Paul justice during his memorial service, because that was really the goal of the service, was just to show everybody how much we love him and how much he's missed. It was very successful. In our lobby, we have a picture of Paul, and we also have a sign that says, Paul B. Barnett, serving with a smile. So when you come into the lobby, you can see it. It's impossible to miss, and it's a beautiful way to remember him. It's a nice way to honor him. And again, please, nobody else die on us, please. We have already lost so many great people in the community recently. And yeah, anyway, I am done.
Giving just a moment to switch interpreters. Thought maybe somebody wanted to say something. Anyway, this is Steve Longo. Thank you so much, Michelle, for your report. The memorial service was quite amazing. And you could see many people having a hard time with his passing. He meant a lot to us. I will always remember him. I think we are done with our reports on the agenda for tonight, and we will, let me look back at the agenda. Looking at the next item is fundraising report, and there is not one to give. And we move then to general board comments. So board members, any general board comments before we move on to the next item? Nicole, yes. Several things had been, this is Nicole, mentioned about Paul, and I also wanted to mention Wayne in Monterey, as he passed away right after Paul did. And I know that they were friends. I personally think it'd be nice to also honor Wayne because of his commitment. Was it 20 years? I don't remember the exact number that Wayne worked for us, but he was a strong foundational presence in the Monterey office. And so I personally think it would also be nice to recognize him in a similar way and just honor him in some way in the Monterey office.
This is Michelle signing. Yes, we are planning something also for the Salinas office in Wayne's memory. Wayne had family, so we want to talk to them about how to honor him. For Paul, we had his brothers and his niece that we planned with for the memorial service, and also knowing how we can honor him locally. For Wayne, though, we don't have those contacts, and so we want to be able to, we talked to Crystal, the staff who's still in the Salinas office, and to see what she thought that Wayne would like. So we may be able to do a picture with a plaque for Wayne in the front when you go into the lobby in the Salinas office. That is something we are still talking about and will plan. But you are right, Wayne is really part of the foundation in the Salinas office, and everyone in the Central Coast area does know who Wayne is. So we want to find a way that's an appropriate way to honor Paul and Wayne. And again, Wayne didn't have any family for us to discuss that with. So we will see what the plan will be.
And this is Steve going over to Nicole. This is Nicole. I worked with him for 3 years, and there were several staff who also worked with him. And so maybe we can, I know Rosemary worked with him as well, Jesse, and maybe we can ask for some ideas or some thoughts from those who worked with him in the past, to be able to put something in that local office. Because again, he was such a foundational presence in the community there. And so I wanted to, as somebody who worked with him, put that out there. Thank you, Michelle.
Yes, this is Michelle signing. To respond to that, yes, I will email Nicole and Rosemary, people who had worked with him in the past, and ask for your ideas as well, and to see if we can get something for him, if there was a theme that you guys always saw in his work. I do know that he was famous for his Jeep, and then also he loved dogs. So if we can find a way to tie in his dogs and Jeeps, make it something very Wayne, we will do that.
This is Steve Longo saying, thank you, Michelle. And yes, Jamie. Jamie saying, I've never met him. I don't know who he is, to be completely honest. That's all I can say.
And for people who didn't know Wayne, he was the one running the Central Post Office in Salinas. And I can't think of a specific theme right now, but maybe Michelle, we can continue to talk about who he was and why people may not know Wayne because he was at the Central Post Office. So he definitely covered the community in Salinas and Monterey and Santa Cruz.
And this is Michelle signing. Just to clarify, Wayne's position was a coordinator of client services in the Salinas office. Salinas office served Monterey and San Benito counties. Santa Cruz is under DeCara, technically, not under us, but yes, those who know Wayne, yes, Nicole, not Santa Cruz, but Jamie, I can say you would never have had a chance to meet him. He didn't come to Fresno. So there were some concerns for him. He was taking care of his mother before he passed, but he was the coordinator and, as Nicole stated, ran the Salinas office for us.
This is Steve. Thank you so much, Michelle. Are there any other comments? Okay. Now, moving on to old business or unfinished business. We can refer to it as old business or unfinished business. I don't see any unfinished business on the agenda. Now we can move on to new business. Like we had just talked about, we do need the approval for the grant that Michelle is working on. That was the first thing. And then also we will move on to elections. Before I proceed, I will give a brief description of what we need to do. We need a motion here. So if somebody can make a motion to approve the grant. I'm in new business. The grant approval. Michelle? Can we get a motion?
Jamie, can there be more explanation?
Yes, so you would say, I move to approve the grant. So I move to approve the grant proposal by Michelle. That's the statement we need from one of the board members. Nicole?
Yes, this is Nicole. Just to clarify, we're talking about the United Way grant that Michelle mentioned earlier in her report. That's the one we're talking about. Okay, thank you for clarifying. Yes.
Yes, so maybe we can have a more specific motion. I move to approve the United Way grant for this year. If we can get that motion, please. Do either of you want to make that motion? Okay, can we get that motion? Can we have one of you to say that we need to have a motion to approve the United Way grant for this year? And then can we get a sec? Nicole, do you want a second?
Oh, so second meaning take another turn. Hang on one second. This is Nicole. Hang on one moment. I'm asking the interpreter for clarification. I'd second the motion. Nicole is saying I second the motion.
Okay, so we have that for the United Way grant this year. Any discussion? Okay, we can go ahead and vote. All in favor of the motion on the floor, please say aye. Raise your hand. Okay. Okay, 3-0, that motion has passed. For the next, yes, Michelle?
Yes, this is Michelle. As part of that grant, we will also need the board to officially approve our vision and mission statements. Really, there are 3 things. Also, have a 5-year strategic plan because it ends this month. So we need a 5-year plan, and we also need everyone to sign a code of ethics form that will be available to you. So we just need to have a standard of excellence as we're going over this list.
Okay, so do we need to make a motion for the code of ethics, or we just sign that and return that to you?
Just sign it, but the mission and vision statement needs approval.
Okay, we need to approve that. If we can get a motion, we can make it one motion for the mission and vision statements to get them both approved. Please, the mission and vision statement. If we can have one motion for both. We can have one motion, right, to approve both in one motion, the mission and the vision. Okay, we need the other motion. And then also we need the 5-year strategic plan. And that's until when? When does that one?
It starts 2022 and runs through 2027. Having a hard time doing math.
Okay, so we need two motions. The first one is DHHSC's strategic plan for 2022 to 2027. We need that. And then we also need the approval for the mission and vision statements. Can we please get a motion? The screen is yours.
This is Nicole. I move that we approve the mission and vision statement. Do we need to do them one at a time, Steve, or can we do them both right now? Okay, so the mission and vision statement, as well as the approval of the 5-year strategic plan. Hang on one second for the interpreting. Okay, this is Nicole again. And we're getting a little bit more clarification from the interpreter. Hang on one second. Okay. Again, this is Nicole speaking. I move that we, for the United Way, approve the mission and vision statement for DHHSC. This is Jamie. I approve all three. Dave Longo saying we need a second on the floor. So need to say who you are.
This is Jamie. I move to approve all three.
Okay, so Jamie has a second on the floor. We will call to vote. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. So we can approve the mission and vision statement. Back to you, Nicole.
This is Nicole signing. As secretary, I want to clarify, we do need e-signatures, correct? I am still working on getting that taken care of, but want to make sure that electronic signature would be okay for the United Way grant.
And this is Michelle. For right now, whether you physically sign it or scan it in email or type your name, any or all will be accepted. The purpose of the United Way Tulare grant is to have the board president sign it, and that would be sufficient. We just still need to collect the signature in some form or another, whether that is typed or scanned or physically signed.
Okay, if this is Nicole, Michelle, if we can get that back and check on the signatures, I want to make sure that we can get those, and if signed is okay, I can get them to you. And if you need me to do it differently, you can let me know.
Will do.
Okay, thank you. Yes, very excited to have that part done.
All right, so this is Steve. That since the voting is done, the motions are done, we'll move to elections. So first, want to talk about some of the terms being up this December and need to be renewed before we can elect officers. So we just need a motion to renew the board members' terms. And once we get to that, we can then move to the elections. So if somebody will make a motion, we can move forward. Go for it, Nicole.
Hi, and Nicole here. I move, following what Steve just mentioned, to renew the terms of board officers.
This is Steve Longo. Jamie, do you second that?
Yes, I move to have a new board for that.
This is Steve Longo. Nicole made a motion to renew my board membership, me, Steve Longo. That's the motion on the floor. We need a second, and then we can talk about it. We can have a discussion. So all in favor, raise your hand. Jamie, do you support that? Okay, awesome. So Michelle, the motion carries. We're good there. Now we can move on to the elections portion of the agenda. Okay. Arranging the interpreters. There are 2 positions. We just interviewed potential new board members for maybe the secretary position, so we will hold on that for now. And for the president, we do need to make sure that is filled. And I think Nicole would like to take the floor for the election of president.
Yes, okay. Hi, this is Nicole. It's really interesting because it's just the 2 of us. And is there anyone who would like to nominate anyone for president? Jamie?
I would do it, but I have a job that is full-time that is possibly coming, and I don't know that I'm going to have time.
No, sorry, to clarify. I am asking Jamie if you know of anyone who you would nominate for president.
Steve Longo.
Okay. I nominate Steve as well. And so I would like to continue him in the position of president.
So there needs to be a second on the floor, Jamie. Jamie, second.
Yes, I second. Okay, this is Nicole. Sorry, I am new at this. We need a vote now for Steve Longo to be our president. Can we get a show of hands? Okay, that motion passes. Steve Longo is our new president. So you are stuck with us. Okay, we really appreciate having you with us.
Mrs. Steve Longo, well, you're the folks suffering with me, so I guess we're all in it together. All women and just me. But thank you for your vote. And so again, we're holding on the secretary's position in hopes that some recent interviews will yield some board members that can fill that position. My term will run December 2021 through 2023. So it's a 2-year term. 3 years as a member, 2 years as an officer. So those overlap. Nicole's term is good until next year as an officer. I believe it's September of 2022 that your term ends as vice president. I don't remember. Right, the officer's 2-year term.
Right, well, 2020, well, that'd be good till 2023. Right before the vice president term is up. We do need to work on getting all of that in order as well. So hopefully we can do that soon, but we will discuss that offline.
This is Steve Longo. Great. Yes, we can put that into a spreadsheet and make it easier. You and I, again, are on the same page there. Get a spreadsheet so that it's easier for everyone to be able to track who is, whose term is when, and make sure that we can follow that and not lose sight of that and miss somebody's expiration. So any other comments before we close the elections and therefore new business? Okay. Yes, Nicole?
Sorry, yes, Nicole signing here. Once elections are closed, what is next? We have 40 minutes.
This is Steve Longo. I'm just talking about the elections part of the business only.
Okay.
Just that one part closed, not the whole meeting.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Yes, thank you for asking. I'm checking with everybody to see if there's more new business. And Michelle?
Michelle signing here. Technically, the 5-year strategic plan, I do need the board to create the 5-year strategic plan. Have fun.
This is Steve Longo. Checking with Alex to see if there are any comments from the public.
Yes, this is Alexander here. I have been monitoring and we do not have any. There have been a few people watching, but no comments from the public.
This is Steve Longo. Okay, I just wanted to make sure in the event that somebody from the community wanted to share something, they would have the opportunity to do so. If I remember correctly, the elections business from the agenda is done and there's no new business. So do we have a motion to close new business? Nicole?
This is Nicole. To clarify, what do you mean close new business? Or do we have anything else for new business?
New business on the agenda is when we make motions, and that's the only time it's under new business. And if there are no other motions, then we can just move to close that part of the agenda only.
This is for Rosemary. For interpret clarification, new business means things that are only limited to what is on the agenda. You can't add anything from here. Closing that means that new business has been handled. So I want to just clarify the terms that are being used.
This is Dave Longo. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. This is just the one small section of the agenda. We have more on the agenda, but we'll just finish this section of the agenda that is labeled new business. So once we have a motion to close it, we can move on with the rest of the agenda. Jamie? Do we agree with closing the new business from the agenda? Question, Nicole? Yes.
And this is Nicole. The reason I was asking is if there was something we wanted to discuss in terms of the bylaws. I'm not sure when the appropriate time for that is. If that's now or when I could make that comment. I'm not familiar with how board meetings are structured.
This is Steve Longo. We pretty much follow the agenda. Once we get past the new business, there is comments section that you could, where you could easily share your comments about the bylaws, but we just have to finish with the new business first before we move on to comments. So do we move to close new business? Do we want to go ahead and close it?
Yes. Yes, we can go ahead and close.
Okay, Jamie said she moved to close new business. Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes. Now, the next section of the agenda is comments from the community and board. Any general comments? Nicole, did you want to comment now?
Yes, I wanted to talk about the bylaws. We are almost done updating the bylaws. There is one part, though, that is still concerning to me. I'm not sure if we can make this edit, but for the Deaf Advisory Council, I wanted to do more research about that and see if we can update that and make sure that everything is up to date. It doesn't seem congruent to meet our needs. And in the bylaws, it talks about having different branches of the council. It says to have 4 members. We don't have anyone else, but it should be someone representing each office, which we currently don't have. There's one person in Merced. There's one person in Fresno. So that's concerning to me. I think that we need to make sure that we have a minimum of 1 AC member in each office. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. I just wanted to put this on the floor. Also, it would be nice if we had 4 council members or AC members for each one. And I think if we had them, we would have 1 AC. So it would be nice to make sure that they also are able to meet each other quarterly. Even we can do that online, so that not everyone has to travel. But it would be nice to be able to do that without the travel. So I think that's something else I would like to add, but just to make sure that they're able to interact with each other and that they don't just stay in their silos by just communicating with the people at the office that they're representing. I also would like to have a meeting set up, and then thirdly, if we could also get a vote. There is no one really willing to vote no if that person isn't qualified. I think it's important, though, that we make sure that the person understands what is required and what works and doesn't work, because if they're not familiar with the process. But if we could have that vote so that the person make sure that the member can be approved for the AC. If it would be the office manager or whoever would do that, I'm not sure, but something like that, just to make sure that we can get that cleaned up.
This is Steve Longo. Thank you, Nicole. Michelle, did you want to pop in here?
Yes, this is Michelle. Nicole, can I ask you to clarify something? What did you say about the office managers? I want to just clarify that.
This is Nicole. Sometimes I get a little nervous and maybe I am not as clear with what I meant. So my understanding is right now there has to be a vote for the members to become members of AC. And I don't know if that's effective because there isn't anyone to say, no, that person isn't qualified. There also isn't anyone to say, yes, I support that person. And I think it can be very frustrating because oftentimes those who become members of AC don't really understand the whole process and then don't want to continue their service on AC. And so instead of having a vote, if we can have a staff member or a board member, I mean, I think it's kind of hard for the board members because we don't necessarily know who these people are, but if we could have the staff member do the approval for the AC. I just want us to have an effective process. So I hope that clarifies that a little bit, Michelle.
Yes, this is Michelle. Thank you so much. I wanted to just clarify, Jesse is the one who oversees the advisory council. The challenge really is people who are not motivated, and there's really nobody who's interested in joining. That's the same challenge that we have with the board right now. We have people who join the board, and then people join. People also, aren't that interested in joining. So we really just need the people.
This is Steve Longo. Thank you. I also wanted to add, as part of my service to another nonprofit organization, one of the sister agencies in LA, GLAD, also in San Diego and other areas, there have been discussions about ACs. So the Deaf Service Council, everyone has a different view and a different explanation and a different purpose, a different plan and a different idea. And some are not very active, and in fact are quite quiet. And some will get started and then fizzle out. And so I think, Nicole, you bring up a very good point that it is maybe time to change the structure as it is outlined. And maybe we need to change that and find a way to make it more effective for us so that we can maybe become a model for our sister agencies. That's something that they could replicate. I don't know. What do you think, Nicole? Or Michelle, rather? What do you think?
Yes, Michelle here. We need to find a way, because over the years we have tried separating them. We've tried having them together, done separate again, and it really either is working, but then there's normally one area that says they want to go back on their own because they feel that each community is so different. So we've talked about different ways of maybe having them kind of run themselves based on their community needs. The challenge, though, is just finding the people who want to do the work. Historically, those who were involved were older, and they are now even older, or they're retired, and we need people who are young and can take on that leadership role.
And this is Nicole. We're going to pause for 5. We're going to pause. Okay. This is the interpreter, Rosemary. I just wanted to say I wanted to give Tracy a short break because I have to leave here shortly. So I just wanted to make sure that she has a break before she's on her own.
Okay, so we have 5 minutes.
So Nicole, if you wanted to continue your comment.
Yes. Sorry, I think this is a good time in general just to take a quick break, if we can do that. And I'll be back at 7:35. Is that good? I think right now, if we can come back at 7:35.
This is Steve Longo. Yeah, we can take a 5-minute break. See you all at 7:35. So Steve Longo. Okay, everyone's back. And we were at the part of the agenda that is comments, remembering where we left off. Are there any additional comments? Nicole, yes.
Great. So before, thank you for allowing that break. I was saying, based on the new model, I would like to have basically 3 things from the ACs. To change the minimum number, it is hard to find people to be able to meet the minimum. If we can have 1 per office. Also, they could meet the 4 offices, the AC members from the 4 offices could all meet in one quarterly. At least, I know that they're meeting with their offices or with their locations individually, but to actually be able to meet online as a group. And then also I would suggest to have people approved, not elected. Those were 3 things I would like to see changed for ACs.
This is Steve Longo speaking. Thank you, Nicole, for that fantastic suggestion. We will definitely take that into consideration in restructuring the bylaws, and you and I can talk about that more later. We do want to get that fixed. I do agree that the AC needs some more attention, and I think pretty soon we'll be in a better position, and I think the Deaf Advisory Council will have a much better structure. Any other comments? Michelle, yes.
Yes, hi, Michelle here. I am just teasing, but if I see me, myself, and I, right? There we go. We have 3 people.
We could all use a laugh here and there. So yes, Nicole.
Yes, that's a great example, because I think that's what Steve and I are doing right now, because we both have multiple roles that we are filling in. Trying to make do with what we have.
Indeed. All right, this is Steve Longo again. Done with comments, unless there are any others. Seeing none, we'll move on to the next agenda item. So we want to talk about future board meetings. It's now December, so the next board meeting, I believe, would be February 2022, right? Our next board meeting. We could discuss February or March, but we just need to make a decision and let Michelle know so that it can be scheduled for February or March 2022. Is that either of those months okay with you, Michelle?
Yes.
Okay, Nicole?
Nicole here. I have what I've seen traditionally for board meetings. I believe it's the 2nd Tuesday, which does, I want to make sure that still works for everyone.
This is Steve Longo here. Yes, I believe so. I'm hoping for February or March, we can discuss and decide on that later. And I think it will also be important to make sure we have more members. We'll be happy to have the secretary's position filled, hopefully very, very soon. So Nicole can focus more on her vice president role and less on the secretary role. Also, in terms of Michelle's discussion about United Way, was there anything you wanted to add, Michelle?
No, this is Michelle here. I was just clarifying what you were talking about in terms of board meeting. United Way of Tulare is due in January. So that's why I was clarifying what you were talking about planning, but you were talking about board meetings. So that is completely at your discretion. Just let me know the time and date that works best for you.
This is Steve Longo. Okay, so to clarify, so we just send that code of ethics signature before January. That's what you need before January.
Yes, thank you.
All right, we will take care of that. So I think we are done with that part of the agenda. Looking at the next item, it is announcements. Are there any announcements from the board? Nicole?
Yes, I'm sorry. This is Nicole. I just wanted to back up for clarification. It's my understanding that the code of ethics form was already signed. We just need Jessica, correct?
Michelle's saying that's correct, yes.
And then also we have to make write the strategic plan. When is that? Do you mind emailing us exactly what we need to do so we can start working on it?
This is Michelle here. As an idea, as a management team, we can type out a concept of some noted needs and send that to the board so that that can be edited and approved. And then we can use that to post on the website by January so that we could submit our United Way Tulare grant with that, because we have to have it both for the website, but also for the grant. So that is just an idea. We can come up with the outline for your review if that would help you with that 5-year strategic plan.
This is Steve. Michelle, I have a question. Can we use a Google spreadsheet so that everyone can see and share that, or a Google Doc so that everyone can see that? It would be easier if we all have one document that we can go by. And then instead of emailing a document back and forth.
This is Michelle. Yes, absolutely. And this is Jamie. When do you need this exactly, Michelle?
Mm-hmm. This is Michelle. It's due by the beginning of January.
So this is Jamie. That's like 2 or 3 weeks from now.
Yes, we need to move fast.
Okay.
I'll start tomorrow. I will start tomorrow because we need to get this through. And then we're going to be going on vacation too.
That's Steve. This is Steve Longo. Great. That's very important. We want to make sure we get that in. So we'll get Jessica's signature on the code of ethics form and that strategic plan. And with those 2 items, United Way Tulare would be able to be submitted. Nicole?
Yes, we need to make sure we get Jessica's signature on that. And then also for the strategic plan, I think it would be good if the management team was able to do this because you know exactly what your needs are. We're not as familiar because we're not actually on the ground with you all. But if we can do that, we can give you some feedback after we take a look at it. So yes, please, if you can do a Google Doc, that would be great. I am completely lost in the ocean of my sea of emails. So yes, please do a Google Doc. Thank you.
Steve Longo saying yes, that yes is definitely important. Any other comments or announcements, Michelle?
Yes, this is Michelle. Just to remind you, if you want a hot meal and to come see us to say hello, please drive by DHHSC on Wednesday, December 22nd from 12 to 2. If you want food, come before 2. Once food is out, that is it. So don't show up at 1:55 and expecting a warm meal. We would love to see all of you though, and to feed you. So please come stop by. If you have any kids or grandkids, we also have stuffed animals for them.
This is Steve Longo. And again, emphasizing that people have to stay in their cars. They can't get out of their cars, correct? So when they
Yes.
drive up,
And
they'll
they must
drive
be masked.
through the parking lot of DHHSC. Okay.
Yes, we will have staff controlling traffic as well in the parking lot.
Excellent. And this is Nicole. We want to make sure that we're not honoring our DST, our Deaf Standard Time, when it comes to the event on the 22nd. We want to make sure we get there early. But Michelle, I do have a question. For the other offices, are there holiday parties, or is it only Fresno that's doing something for the holidays?
Yes, this is Michelle. Thank you. And I'm glad you reminded me. We actually, tomorrow evening, the outreach offices are doing a combined Zoom event of holiday storytelling. So, Alex is at 5 to 7. Alex, tomorrow evening it's 5 to 7, correct?
This is Alexander. Yep, it is.
So yes, Fresno wanted to host a luncheon like we've done, and the outreach offices wanted to make a fun and friendly competition to see who is going to get the most attendees, if it will be the drive-by holiday luncheon or story time tomorrow night. I think food tends to draw in more people, so I think Fresno office will win. But yes, tomorrow evening we have story time on Zoom, and the next Wednesday we have our luncheon. So really it's the best of both worlds to have something virtual and something in person.
All right. Other announcements. This is Steve Longo. That sounds great, Michelle. But yes, Jamie?
Yes, can we get the link for tomorrow night? Love to hop on.
This is Michelle. Will do.
Okay, this is Steve. I think we are nearing the end of our time. Are there any other announcements? Right, I think that is it. And we are adjourned. Does anybody, can we get a motion to adjourn? Nicole?
This is Nicole. I just wanted to say I wish you a safe and merry and healthy Christmas. Thank you for your support and appreciate everyone who, from the interpreters to the management team, all of the staff of the DHHSC for just getting in and getting things done. I look forward to seeing everyone next year. And I move that we adjourn the meeting.
All right, thank you, Nicole. And yes, I definitely want to echo your comments. This meeting is adjourned at 7:50. All right, happy holidays, everyone. And we will see you soon.
See you next year, Michelle says. See you all next year.
And Nicole saying, no, we need to finish the United Way grant stuff first. Can't get away that easy.
Thank you, Alex, for your work. Steve Longo.